Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel with my coffee, though I am running a little low, with my books and my reviews, and actually I'm hearing some thunders outside, so it's raining for sure, or it's about to. Definitely. Now, it has rained on and off most of the day, which makes it one of my more favorite type of days where I just get to stay in, read, and try to figure out how best to spend my afternoon relaxing. Sorry, I saw in my little camera viewfinder that I didn't turn my little lights on. Now those are little book nooks that I had found, and they're honestly really super easy to put together. I have no affiliate code of any kind. They're just fun. And they're really cute on the shelves, so you'll kind of tell if you've watched any of my episodes that I kind of did a little bit of a tidy up and a little bit of a reorg to get those on there. But let us dive into the first book. Actually, it's the second book that I'm recording. The first one has already been done. But this book is called The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And so far it's getting some pretty decent reviews on Goodreads. And we're just going to dive into the summary. Three women in three different eras encounter danger and witchcraft in this eerie, multi-generational horror saga from the New York Times best-selling author of American Gothic. Back then, when I was a young woman, there were still witches. That was how Nana Alba always began the stories when she told her great-granddaughter, Minerva, stories that stayed with Minerva all her life. Perhaps that's why Minerva has become a graduate student focused on the history of horror literature and is researching the life of Beatrice Tremblay, the obscure author of macabre tales. In the course of assembling her thesis, Minerva uncovers information that reveals that Tremblay's most famous novel, The Vanishing, was inspired by a true story. Decades earlier, during the Great Depression, Tremblay attended the same university where Minerva is now studying and became obsessed with her beautiful and otherworldly roommate, who then disappeared under mysterious circumstances. As Minerva descends ever deeper into Tremblay's manuscript, she begins to sense that the malign forces that stalked Tremblay and the missing girl might still walk the halls of the campus. These disturbing events also echo the stories Nana Alba told about her girlhood in the 1900s Mexico, where she had a terrifying encounter with a witch. Minerva suspects that the same shadow that has darkened the lives of her great-grandmother and Beatrice Tremblay is now threatening her own in the 1990s Massachusetts. An academic career can be a punishing pursuit, but it might turn outright deadly when witchcraft is involved. So it is considered horror, fantasy, historical fiction, witches, gothic, and fiction. So there we go. It's approximately 368 pages in hardcover. It's first published July 15th of 2025, so I'm a little bit behind that, but I had quite a few due on the 15th, and I was making a list of all the things that I needed to record today, and yeah, it's actually quite a bit. I am behind on my recordings, but I will get them done. But this book was really good. However, I'm going to go ahead and preface and tell you my personal opinion is that it was slow. I did not understand the witchcrafty connections of any kind until like way later in the book. So we have three different timelines. We have Nana Alba when she was a girl. We have Tremblay, Beatrice Tremblay or Betty, and then we have Minerva. So it's like 1908, 1938, and then like 1990. I think that those were the time frames, or at least the years that they were supposed to take place. So at first I didn't really understand like the connections, because not so much, I just wanted to know how these three women were going to, like, how we were going to get to some sort of witchcraft horror book. And honestly, I was pretty intrigued. I was like, okay, yeah, tell me more. That's great. So we do learn pretty quickly that Nana Alba is Alba from way back in the day. So she was the young girl who experienced this, who told Minerva the stories. The thing is Minerva doesn't seem to even remember the stories until these things, weird things, start happening. But Minerva, she is doing a research study on Tremblay, and runs across some information that the vanishing was technically inspired by a true story. And turns out that this true story was about a girl named Virginia Somerset. And this particular girl, Virginia Somerset, had gone missing, and everyone thought that she had run off with, like, I guess a mill worker from one of the local mills. But Tremblay never really fully believed that. She didn't think that Virginia or Jenny would do something like that because Jenny was engaged to someone else named Edgar. So now that I've finished the book, I personally do see some of the machinations throughout it that I didn't see at the time. Did it make it a little better in the long run for me? Yeah, I think so, because I think I missed those hints, and then once I completed the book, I was like, oh, okay. So, Minerva loves this genre, and she has a friend named Hideo, and I think it's Hideo, Hideo, who, well, let's go ahead and say Minerva's staying on campus through the summer. And there's like one other guy, and I think his name is Connor, and he's kind of just slacks off a lot, and he's just kind of a lazy guy, and he skirts the rules and all this sort of stuff. And it seems like his dad might have like an inn or be able to pay people off. But anyway, Connor is like kind of always in trouble, not only with Minerva, but like just in general with school. And Hideo is just Minerva's friend, and they go to like parties together, but they're not like a couple of any kind. They just are friends. There's no indication that they are anything more romantic, and I'm totally fine with that. I like when girls and guys can just be friends, and they don't have to always have a romantic undertone. Now, Minerva did in fact have a brief, I think, kiss with Connor, and then like a day or two later he was like shacking up or kissing somebody else. And so it's not that she may be a little spited, a little jaded, because he does seem like he's potentially pretty cute, but yeah, he's rubbed her the wrong way. However, during her research, and she's kind of delaying on writing her thesis, and I do want to think that's her master's thesis. She's just really hitting a brick wall. She's not finding enough information, and she does find out that there is a local individual named Carolyn Yates who apparently has some of the papers from Tremblay. And apparently they had gone to school together, and that's how she acquired these papers. So Minerva reaches out to Tremblay through an assistant, never hears back. And then she encounters this guy named Noah. Well, again, now I would love to say there is a little bit of romantic undertone when it comes to Minerva and Noah. However, neither one of them really acts on it. And so I guess that's good, because Noah has been pretty much like told who he's going to marry by his grandmother, Carolyn. And that's just what they do in his family. And like, you don't marry for love, you just marry and be miserable. And I don't know why Noah's fine with that, but apparently he seems fine with that because that's what everybody does. And I'm just like, I don't think that's what everybody does. But she is able to get an invitation to the Yates compound, or the Yates estate, called the Willows, and is able to meet Carolyn Yates and see those papers. So as she is able to visit this estate, she kind of starts building that relationship, that friendship with Noah. Now, nothing untoward happens, especially since he's supposed to be engaged, but there were some points where I was just like, girl, just kiss him. You're so angry all the time at everybody, and I feel like you're just angry for no reason at this guy, because he seems pretty amenable. But yeah, sure, he's supposed to be engaged, but apparently he doesn't like the girl. So I don't really know. It wasn't his choice to marry her or get engaged to her. Um, so then we have Minerva doing the research and trying to put these puzzle pieces together, and gets really, really invested in trying to find out more about Jenny Somerset and just Tremblay's knowledge. So trying to run down any additional papers that may be from either Jenny or from Tremblay. So then the next storyline is from Tremblay herself during her time in school. Now, Tremblay had the roommate, Jenny, and just a housemate in Carolyn. Carolyn didn't really seem to like Jenny all that much at first, but kind of warmed up to her. But this is kind of the point where Tremblay, she likes the fact that Jenny is quirky and kind of likes the crystals and the spiritualism, and doesn't mind like trying to do the automatic writing or channel things or do a seance. Like, it seemed to be in vogue or in fashion at the time. So it's not like it's weird. Like, sure, Jenny's a little odd, but it in a quirky sort of way. And then she kind of gets, she does get engaged to this guy named Edgar, who just seems absolutely head over heels in love with Jenny. However, Jenny starts to get really, like, not only paranoid, but just kind of, like, concerned that someone's following her. She thinks someone left a dead rat in her bed. That, she feels like the pathways are changing. Ones that she's walked 100 times no longer lead where they were supposed to. She gets lost a couple times. And, everybody just thinks that she's maybe into the spiritualism a little too much, until she goes missing. Now, one of the other friends, I think it's the lady named Marianne, says that, oh, well, I think I saw Jenny hugging on, Santiago, and I want to say he was, like, the mill worker. And Tremblay just really doesn't believe it, because Jenny was head over heels for Edgar. Just absolutely, I don't want to say he was her world, but they really were so excited to, like, be engaged and to get married and all this sort of stuff. However, just Santiago just happened to be there. I don't think there was anything like suspicious about their relationship, but Marianne was like, "Oh, I saw a girl in a gray coat hugging Santiago. I definitely think it was Jenny, and she ran away with him because they were having a secret affair." Well, no one else really believes that. Like, there was no evidence. It didn't fit the timeline. And so Tremblay was then inspired to continue looking, like, not only once her friend goes missing, but to continue looking into these stories of people who just vanished off the face of the earth. Just, they were there one day and gone the next. And I know that there's real stories about people doing that, and that's just a really creepy thing, that they just vanish. Well, now we go back to Nana Alba, who has a very intricate storyline. Her dad has already passed, and her brother is doing his best to keep the family farm, like, running. However, it's not doing super great, and they seem to be a bit cursed. Horses are dying with, unknown causes. Crops are failing. All those sorts of things. Chickens stop laying. And the brother, Tadeo, Tadeo, he's just adamant he's going to make it work. He's going to make it work. Well, I hate to say this, but Tadeo doesn't make it. Something happens to him as well. And now Alba is full on alert, because she is convinced this is some sort of bewitching. That something is going on, that is, because she is able to tell portents, or, I don't want to say, like, but it's kind of like, I think it's kind of like reading the tide or reading the winds, or you see an omen and you're able to more or less discern something is going to happen, did, or will happen. And so Alba knows that this is something much more than just, like, natural causes. It's definitely supernatural causes. So she starts really looking into it. But that's where her story kind of goes down the rabbit hole. They all do ultimately tie together in the end. But for me, this book was slow in getting there. I did not really have, if you're going to call this a horror, gothic suspense, I need more horror and suspense. I don't think People Missing is like, sure, it's creepy, especially like just watching spooky YouTube videos and they talk about different instances, people vanishing from a camera because they were just there and now they're gone. But I read it really quick, but I think it's because I was looking for that supernatural element that I just had a hard time getting to. Now, there is some, but I felt like it was 75% of the way into it. Like, I had to get to the end of this book to reach that point. Is it still a pretty good tale? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm an academic myself. I understand diving into a topic or thesis, like, and just pouring over books and getting your hands on as much as you can get your hands on. I've done there. I've been there, done that. I'm about to start trying to do that with my PhD, so wish me luck on that one. But we do get to tie everything up pretty well. Again, Tremblay was not the one affected. She was the one who wrote about it in The Vanishing, but her stories still kind of tell the story of Jenny. And I have read Silvia Moreno Garcia in the past. I think I read Signal to Noise, which is quite an old work, but it was well done. It was about some young adults who use music as like a form of magic. So that was very interesting. But I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it here and let you decide if this is something that you are interested in picking up. Little Leo, probably not so much interested. He prefers if I read to him or play an audiobook. Actually, he doesn't care either way about that either. I think he might be hard of hearing. I'm not sure. But I do want to thank you all so much. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I certainly hope you will. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.